I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to our meeting this evening. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. We need a motion to approve the agenda if there's no amendments.
I have no amendments, Mr. Mayor.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion made second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, no public hearings tonight. On the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held on February 10th, 2026. Approval of claims to be paid. Approval to hire Kellen Schaefer as full-time police officer. Approval of special event permit for the kickoff to summer event requested by the Lee Center Chamber. And approval of a special event permit for the 250th anniversary of America celebration requested by Anita Yanda and Dale Schmall.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, public comment. If anybody has any petitions, requests, comments, or communications, please come up to the podium, state your name and address. Please keep your commentary to 3 minutes, please. All right, thank you. No presentations and no old business for tonight. On to new business. We have approval of the industrial wastewater treatment agreement with Desert Holdings LLC. This is, I'm sorry, I read this, and I kept on reading desert, desert. Well,
You're not the only one that heard that.
not dessert. Sorry, that's why I feel it's a little funny. But this agreement is to manage the water use through their business, correct?
Yeah, I can go into it a little bit.
Yes.
So
Please.
we have had a significant industrial user agreement, or for short SIU, with this company, all the way back to 2006, I want to say, when they came here, and this is Desert Holdings or Diane's Foods, and that kind of forced the city at that time to do some plant upgrades. So basically what this user agreement does is it etches out who's responsible for what and how the city at the wastewater treatment plant treats their usage. So everybody else is considered most part domestic strength, and they've got a lot of things that they put in as the process of their factory out there that they put into our treatment facility, and then we've got to make sure to be within our permit. We have to be able to manage that. So we've always had one. The one big significant difference in this one is we're going to more of a use-based system. So we've got about 5 chemicals that we test for there, and we're charging on a per pound basis, and we're going to do real time a month in kind of review. So very similar to how we charge our residential customers, where they get, let's say, February usage, and then March they get a bill. We're going to kind of do the same thing, where historically we've always worked with our engineering outfit to do an average based upon an entire previous year's loading, and then we would get an average for the month and then bill that out. So we've worked pretty hard to kind of switch over to this kind of agreement style and this methodology to kind of bill that way. We've had it on our fee schedule now for 2 years, and we finally got around to updating the agreement with them. Both attorneys have looked at it, and this is kind of the finished product from that. So a lot of staff and hard work from Dan and Pat on this as well, getting this to kind of where it needs to go. So this kind of just lays real good claim to who's responsible for what and how we're going to manage them. So.
And this is a 5-year agreement? Is that right?
5-year? Yeah.
5-year agreement. Previously, have they always been 5-year agreements with them, or?
I believe they've always been around that time.
I would agree. Basically, we just bulleted it up to make sure that the city is protected in the event that there's some sort of an issue out there, and it clearly delineates rights and responsibilities, obligations.
So where does this get pulled for testing from, for the amount of stuff in the water?
They're required to do their own sampling, and then also Pat does sampling as well, which goes to 2 different labs. And then from that data he gets, and he's gonna put it into Excel spreadsheet, and then that's how we're gonna come up with charges based upon per pound of that specific chemical makeup of whatever we're looking for. Dan, you wanna add to?
No, you said.
Okay,
Just fine.
said just enough not to confuse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's very technical in nature, but, we also worked with Lana Tellis from Bolton and Mink, who we've worked for years on these type of agreements. So we've got kind of an engineering firm that also looked at this as well and made sure we were doing everything as we should. And that, like Moran said, we're just bolstering this up, really putting roles and responsibilities out there, and yeah, it's a good agreement.
Okay. Any other questions? There's no other questions. I'd look for a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve the industrial wastewater treatment agreement with Desert Holding LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Next we have, under new business, letter B, we have the approval of lower potency hemp edible retailer license for Rademacher Foods of Lee Center, Inc. This is our first in our community, is it not?
Yeah, first one to come out of OCM, so they kind of got up and running, and then likely we'll start to see them filtering in, and this is the first one that I've received.
Okay, go ahead.
I do have a question for this particular license, section 4, 5 hours of operations. I know there's 2 different hours. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so this one would fall under the operation of hemp businesses, because this is the low potency hemp edible. So they'll have to abide by the 1 a.m. No sales between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Okay.
Yep.
Because they do open at 7.
They do, but they'll have to abide by the standards set out, and that's right from our ordinance.
Okay.
The bad thing about these is you're statutorily capped at no more than $125 fee, unfortunately. That is on an annual basis, calendar year. Legislature capped us at 125. Can't go any higher.
Are there any other questions? In this, we are required by the state to approve, right?
Correct.
Well,
You have no discretion on it.
No discretion.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, it's just a policy that we've got.
Yep.
Okay,
No, you
all right.
don't have any say in it. It meets all of our zoning requirements. It meets state statutes. So yes, you gotta do it.
Perfect. Need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve low potency hemp edible, a retailer license for Rademacher Foods of Lee Center, Inc.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to letter C, we do have another one for the approval of the lower potency hemp edible retailer license for the Lee Center Municipal Liquor Store in town as well.
Again, same process, OCM got it to us, and how they work on their end is these lower potency ones. OCM will just issue the license right away, and a part of that process is the establishment is basically attesting that they're gonna work with the local city to do their local registration components. So again, just like the last one, this is now the municipal liquor store applying for one. In this one, I did decide to waive the fee of the $125. So making sure they meet the requirement, and now we're getting council approval on the validation of the license.
Any other questions? All right, we'll need approval of the lower potency hemp edible retailer license for the Lee Center Municipal Liquor Store.
I'll make a motion to approve lower potency hemp edible retailer license for the Lucenter Municipal Liquor Store.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, page 38, you and 39, you will have gotten a memo from our Public Works Superintendent, Dan Steinborn, about changing a yield sign on West Ottawa Street at the intersection of South Lexington Avenue. Talking with him, and what it states here, people are not really even yielding, which when teaching this, teach drivers that it's a sloppy stop, if not stop, through on yields, and they're not coming close to that. It is right down next to a heavily walked road from a lot of kids that head to school that way, as well as right next to our city shop. And heavy machinery coming in there, and a lot of people going in and out using the recycling and garbage facilities there as well. So, Dan, do you have anything else you would like to say about this?
Very well covered.
Dan, are there yield signs on the Park Avenue? Stop.
All right.
And just from a legal standpoint, this council does have legal authority on our own roads to designate stop signs and yield signs and things of that nature. It just takes a local control, but it's always a good idea to get it approved by the council. That way, if an accident happens down there in the future, this is on public record that Dan's memo and why he feels it should be changed, and your guys' authority on changing it. So that's why it's here tonight.
Doesn't it already have one coming the other direction anyways?
I think it'll be.
Chief Overn, do you have anything that you'd like to say about it?
No.
You'd be enforcing it,
Not on
your
that
crew?
particular intersection. I think there's a lot of them on the north side of town that could use stop as well, but figure out at a different time and place, but a lot of the east-west traffic is very poor yield.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, we'll look for a motion to approve the traffic control designation change on West Ottawa Street and South Lexington Avenue.
I'll make a motion to approve the traffic control designation change, West Ottawa Street and Lexington Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you for eyeing that for us. All right, we need an approval of the EDA business subsidy development policy. Dan, can you go over that for us, please?
Yeah, this is a very encompassing policy. I'll just kind of give a highlight of this, but this is something that Jim Gromberg, our EDA specialist, had put together for the EDA. They have reviewed this and they have approved it on their end. This is just in front of you tonight for final approval. But basically what this does is it identifies needs for funding, a funding mechanism for businesses. It'll go through, what objectives are out there, evaluation criteria, what the application process is to get our EDA loans, whether that's a revolving loan fund, a micro loan fund program, or we did the one-off COVID loan. So it kind of just puts a policy together that states how the EDA is going to grant and go through this information and kind of ending up with recommendations for loan programs. We never had one in place in the future, and this is just kind of good policy to kind of put it out there on who can apply, when you can apply, and kind of what the criteria is going to be.
Okay. Any questions about that? The EDA has been working with Jim quite a bit with many different facets of the community here to help out in that, and this is one of the steps that we needed to take. So does anybody else have anything? No, nothing? All right. Then we need a motion to approve the EDA business subsidy development policy.
I make a motion to approve the EDA business subsidy development policy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to reports of departments and organizations, starting letter A, planning and zoning. Mr. Corey Block does not look like he is in here in-house. City Administrator Evans, do you have something?
Yes,
Per Corey?
Corey, myself, and Jim have been working on kind of an updated, plan unit development ordinance, or PUD. It's something that we've had in our zoning code before, but it was, lacking in procedural guidance and how to do a plan unit development. We've been kind of heavily working on coming up with some, amendments and drafts to that ordinance. So we'll likely have a public hearing on that first part of April through planning and zoning on this plan unit development. And then, depending on recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission, it'll likely be in front of the council's eyes for approval on that. And what that's gonna let us do is, if there's subdivisions out there that don't quite meet the cookie cutter guidance of a traditional subdivision, this allows you to be less restrictive on some components and kind of make it work. And typically it has a lot to do with the way the land is already structured, or if there's limitations in land that, doesn't allow certain setbacks because of, whatever reason. So just another tool that planning and zoning can use to help facilitate commercial growth, residential growth, and alike. So that's something that we've been working on and we'll likely see in future meetings for approval.
And we do have, a meeting April 7th for planning and zoning there's 4 things on the item. I don't know if you want me to go through them without him or.
Yeah.
It's got a public hearing for, a cup for house on West Tyrone. And then, facade approval for Neubauer Car Wash. And that's in there twice. And then, discuss exterior storage and accessory exterior storage that we currently don't have any language on. So
And this is at 7?
that was April 7th, yeah.
April 7th at 7
It will be at 7,
in
yes.
here.
Perfect. All right, is that all you have from Corey?
I do.
All right. Moving on to the liquor store report, Ms. Bickla?
Good evening. Our February 2026 sales were $84,674.87. As you can see from last year, there was an increase for $5,438.64. Our January gambling was $6,450.74. Our January CNN sales were $964.33. Below you can see the revenue sources throughout February. For events in February, we had another successful Pfeffer tournament, karaoke, and live music. In March, we obviously coming up here this weekend have our St. Patrick's Day celebration, so that will be fun. And this Friday, also March 13th, we have the live remote broadcast by KCHK and live music by Trent Shaw starting at 8 p.m. We also have a Dart League Appreciation Night, and all of our dart teams are playing in the state tournament coming up at the end of the month. Friday, March 20th, we have live music by Luke Richards at 8 p.m. Saturday, March 21st, we have a Pfeffer tournament at 1 p.m. And Saturday, March 28th, we have a meat raffle at 6 p.m. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. All right, police report. Chief Oberg.
Good evening.
How are we doing?
Evening.
February 2026, we had 222 total calls or incidents reported. We patrolled 2,185 miles. Total calls for the year so far is 390, which is up 11% over last year and about 60% over 2024. You'll also see that the public nuisance, or at least Center City ordinances, we're at 17 on that, but the snow being gone this year, Officer Huber got a jump on those. We're also going to be sending letters out to the landlords of multiple properties in town, reminding them that ultimately they're going to get a citation if their clients, renters continue to fail to comply with the ordinances in the center. So we're back on that until we get another snowfall. As you're aware, we're getting a new RMS system here beginning of 2027. One of the part-time officers I've tasked with going all the way back to 2015 and starting to complete some of the reports and investigations that are still open that we found during our preparation for this switchover. About 274 of those. We've lost my train of thought going on our thing. Forgot what it was, but any questions?
I don't have any questions, just a comment. With regard to the nuisance properties that are also rentals, I think we've had some issues with some of those. I think that we need to monitor this a little bit. And it is possible that if we continue to have problems with some of these rentals, nuisance property type problems with these rentals, I think there is going to come a point in time when we have to look at taking some action on some rental licenses. And I just want to kind of keep that on everybody's radar, because I know that Mitch and his guys are working really hard on some of these. And some of these are rental properties. There are some landlords that have multiple of these types of properties in town. So maybe we need to get the word out a little bit. Some of these landlords, some of these nuisance properties, they run the risk of losing their rental license.
Okay.
So,
All right, sounds good to me.
We're gonna monitor this a little bit, but it may come a point in time when Dan and I, Chief, we send out some notifications to some of these landlords.
Ready?
So it's just a comment.
95% of the issues are with the rentals. We've had one that you've had issues with that's a private owner, and I think a lot of that was due to age.
Correct.
But
Correct.
majority of it is having tenants that just don't care.
Well,
With that said, I think we will go ahead and work on a letter and get that on landlords' radars. I don't need a vote on it or anything, just kind of a consensus from you guys, if you would be okay with us
Yep, I think
sending,
so.
sending that type of notification out. All right, we'll get to work on that.
That looks like.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, no,
All right, thank you all.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Public Works report. Superintendent Steinmore.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Skate rink's officially closed. We closed that last week. Weather permitting, we could have kept it open longer, but not too warm.
Turned it into a pool then?
Yes. We had the street sweeper out this week, getting ready for St. Patty's Day. We've been started sweeping the streets downtown. I'm ready for parade. Spring sports season coming. We don't open the bathrooms until after April 15th at the parks. Still freeze. That's always been the rule of thumb there. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless you have some questions.
Dan, will the warming house bathrooms be open down there?
We're still heating them. We keep them heated.
Okay. Because the lines, we have the Easter egg hunt on the 4th.
Yes.
And that's the only concern is a lot of times.
That's on a Saturday.
Restrooms. Yeah, on a Saturday. Yeah.
We'll make sure we have them open that morning.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. And if we need anything else, I'll get a hold of you.
Text him that so he doesn't forget.
All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Dan. All right, moving on to the administrator's report. City Administrator Evans.
All right, tomorrow I've got my City Day on the Hill event. We're going to the Capitol. League of Minnesota City puts on a pretty good event. It can be pretty entertaining to listen to some of the legislators up there. Kind of have this free thing where they'll bring in a panel and they'll talk about hot topics and how each one of them is going to handle theirs a little bit differently. And then just get a little information together. And then later on in the day, as well, when we have an opportunity to go on Capitol Hill and meet with our legislators, I have a meeting with Representative Terry Steer, who represents this district in the House. And my plan with him was just to go over fundamentally a lot of the ideas that we get through the Minnesota Association of Small Cities. So that's continuing to support LGA to make sure that that doesn't see cuts, because we rely very heavily on local government aid in that aspect. Continuing to make sure that the TAA funds through the transportation continue to fund small cities assistance. That's our roadways. Because we're under 5,000 in population, we don't get direct MSA funding from the state. So we are starting to rely on this different funding mechanism through the state to do repairs and fixes on our roadways. So we can increase some of those funds we're getting. That's what we're going to advocate for. And then, as always, these zoning preemptive bills that the state wants to put through down, and these come from the 7 metro area, that they want complete ownership over our zoning code basically. So there's a bill right now that we're looking at that's got both Senate file and House file that basically is going to etch out cities under 5,000 in population, but there's still going to be design standards that we're not going to have rules over, and we still want to make sure that we're keeping those design standards that we always have. So we're going to be fighting against that, and that's one of the big to-dos on Minnesota Association of Small Cities as well. So it's a good event. This is be my 3rd or 4th year going, so you always learn something new, get a chance to connect with other cities and see the issues they're going with. So that will be tomorrow. Also, interestingly enough, MnDOT did a new cost participation policy that's set to go into effect, I believe, later on this month. And this is actually really good news because what it does is it puts a cap on local share of a project coming through town. And this is something I was aware of last year, and I was a big proponent of them changing. Basically, what's going to do is going to take 0.8% of your adjusted net tax capacity, and you're only going to be on the hook for that for any trunk projects that are going to come through. So, for example, Highway 99 is going to be coming through around the 2029 timeframe, and it's going to put that at 8% of our adjusted net tax capacity, which is roughly 18,000 and change. So basically, it limits how much they can assess the cities on those projects. Right now, we were looking at roughly 70 to 80, somewhere in there, for assessment costs. So this is good news for you guys on those policies coming down from MnDOT and lessening the burden. What we were finding is a lot of small cities, and why this happened is if they had to put big traffic lights in there, those are pretty costly, and that was increasing a lot of the costs on the project. So this is really good for small cities and really good for really everybody that MnDOT has stepped up and kind of changed their policy around to take over more of the burden on these cost sharing and things. So that's good news. That's just an update. That does not require legislative approval. That was a policy change, but that was being heavily talked about up at the Capitol as well, just on a policy note. So that's all I've got for my updates.
Any other questions for City Administrator Evans? All right, we have the Leesburg County Commissioner updates from Commissioner Preisler.
Evening, and if I quit right now, you would be done by 7:30.
So moved.
Set myself up on that one. Mayor and Council, good to be here. I'm gonna update you just a couple of things. I know last meeting I talked a little bit about where we're at with our comp plan. And so since that time, we did have a hearing in front of the county commissioners, which means we've satisfied the requirements for hearings. You have to have 2 hearings on a comp plan, and so we have satisfied that. We will not have any more hearings. We are in the editing phase, though, of, when I say hearings, public hearings. We would take public input. We are in the editing phase now. So there's comments from the commissioners, there's comments obviously that came in that public hearing, and we've gotten some written comments in too. And so in the editing phase, we probably finish that, we hope, within the next couple of weeks or so. We're going to have a work session with the board on the 24th, and so then hopefully within a couple weeks after that, we end up with, I won't call call it a final document, but pretty close. And so we will make that available for folks to take a look at, and let that kind of simmer out there for maybe 3-4 weeks. And that way people take a look at it, kind of have one final swipe at it. If there's changes then that end up being made, they would probably come as just an amendment in front of the board. And we're not gonna again have any more hearings. We did have some interesting things that popped up at the hearing that we had on the 17th of February. And one of them, there were some things, just so all of you know, there were some things floating around Facebook, and of course everything's true on Facebook, kind of about 3-4 days leading up to the hearing. And so the very first speaker, or commenter, got up and accused us of all signing non-disclosure agreements, and that there was a data center going in, and that we had signed NDAs with the data center, and that this was all happening. Again, it's on Facebook, so it must be true. I will tell you, none of that is true. We're in no discussions with any data center, and none of us have signed an NDA. Okay? And I will tell you from my standpoint, I won't sign an NDA. I think that when you're in a position like this, you should be transparent, you should be open. I won't sign it. Okay? So, we'll just kind of straighten that out right from the get-go. There is not a data center that's going to go on the edge of the center anytime soon, because we haven't even talked to anyone yet. So, not to say that we wouldn't have discussions going into the future. It is really interesting how that technology is changing. Now you've got data centers that are not, they're recycling water instead of using, the first ones were using a lot of water. Now they're systems that recycle, and so that is cut down to literally single digits percentage-wise compared to some of the first ones. And now there are some being proposed that are going to be generating their own power. And so that takes the pressure off the grid. That would end up increasing everybody's electricity costs. And so as technology changes, you never know, because it is interesting to watch how quickly technology has changed. And I think that's happened in order to get through some of the opposition that's out there. And some of it's just plain dollars and cents. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And but there is nothing that we've signed an NDA on. We're not having discussions actively with any data centers right now. Other than that, I know that Administrator Evans mentioned that he's going up to Capitol tomorrow. I was up there yesterday for 2 days last week, and it's a compressed session since it started late, and will be done here in May. First deadline on bills to clear policy committees is coming up here in about 15 days, so that's not very far away. Lots of bills introduced, but that's kind of what happens in deals like this. Doesn't mean that they're going to go anywhere. We've been working, counties have been working a lot on redoing, getting a completely new technology system for how we handle Health and Human Services. Okay. The backbone of the Health and Human Services technology that we still use was built in 1989. It's DOS based. For some of you young people, you probably never used that. And so it is completely antiquated. It doesn't talk to each other on anything. It's really hard to fix it. It is prone to errors, which makes it difficult then to comply with some of the federal legislation that is out there that where there are targets to hit for error rates. It's prone to errors. The other thing is there's no security built into those systems either, because they just, at that point, cyber security wasn't an issue that you even thought about in 1989. So it's problematic, and it's also incredibly inefficient. Until we probably, every county probably, we had a workable system, we could probably run with a few less people, but we don't have that today. So it was mentioned by the governor in a press conference that he had today. That was going to be one of his priorities
had a few other things that he laid out too, that I don't think will happen, because he had both members of his own party and the other party, after he got done talking, say that that's not going to happen. So when you get to that point, generally things will happen. So we'll see where that ends up going, but that's a big priority from our standpoint, because we're dealing with an old, inefficient system that is, we could just do a lot better work than what we've got right now. And we also had discussions on the bonding bill, since this is, quote, a bonding year, especially looking at highway funds, so local improvement funds, as we look specifically for roads and bridges, because that really flows down, help us out from the standpoint of state funding on, because if you're going to replace a bridge, that is not a cheap deal, like at all. And we've got some that are the age that just plain needs to happen. If you don't get state help in order to do some of those projects, it blows our budget with about 2, and then you don't have anything left to do with as far as roads are concerned. Otherwise, that's kind of just some highlights, questions that any of you have got.
Nothing. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
There's a lot of F words going around up there, which is feds, fraud, and.
Fry?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Moving on to other business, council reports. I believe a couple members here that have something to report.
Yeah, Councilmember Phil and myself met with some of the members with the library expansion board, and some of the things they discussed, and feel free to step in, Phil, if you want to.
I can go ahead. So far they're trying to do some improvements to the library area, so they've been trying to raise some funds to get some updates in there, and they're at $129,000 raised so far. They're going to be doing 4 more fundraisers throughout the year. They're going to take part in the citywide garage sale. They have some items that they've got, and if you have nice items or whatever you'd like to donate to them for the garage sale, they'd appreciate that. They'll be at the kickoff to summer event. Lynn's going to have some books and prizes and different things there. And then on August 8th, Betty Traxler is going to be doing a dinner and a show, and they're going to have silent auction items at that also. She's put on some pretty good performances in the past with different things she's been involved in, so I'd assume that'll be a.
Did they say where that's at?
I believe she said the Legion, but that would be.
I believe that's.
And then their last one, they did not have a specific date, but it'll be in January is what they said, and it's going to be more of a formal event. They're looking at getting some nice food, and they want entertainment there, but they're looking to get the entertainer to donate their time. So they were reaching out to ask if anybody knows anybody that's I don't know what type of entertainment. They weren't super specific, but if it's a formal event, I would guess that kind of avenue, if you know somebody, to reach out to them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much about what we discussed. So.
Okay. Are you guys going to keep in contact with them and try to get to those meetings then and bring back more information for us?
Yeah, a little bit of that, and some they might call open meetings of a workshop.
Yeah, we've invited them to that, and Minister Evans had went over that with them as to wanted to be a part of the workshop meetings and things. So.
Okay, sounds good. All right. I'm just going to mention the Leesore County officials meeting is March 25th for Leesore County officials, 6:30 at the American Bar and Grill in Montgomery. Cap O'Rourke from the Small Cities Association is going to be there, and Maddie Cash from the Association of Townships will be there as well to give presentations for us. So, anybody else have anything else? Anything? All right, make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.